Sawadee Krap. My name is Alan Shaw. I'm an American. I'm now living in Thailand. I've been chipping away at the Thai language for over 20 years now. And for me, as I think for most foreigners studying Thai, the biggest stumbling block has been the Thai tones. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what I think is a critical aspect of Thai tones that I became aware of a few years ago that to this day I've never seen or heard discussed anywhere else. So here we go. Okay, so as we know, in Thai, every syllable of every word carries one of 5 tones. So when you have a sentence, you have a series of tones, each tone having its own pitch and contour. And every sentence in Thai has a certain sentence level intonation. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is the relationship between that sequence of individual tones and that sentence level intonation. To explain this relationship between the sequence of individual tones in a Thai sentence and the sentence level intonation of that sentence, I think it would be helpful to give you an example. So what I'd like to do is let me get my little pointer here. I'd like to take this English sentence. I don't want to go, but I don't think I have any choice. And I'd like to take the Thai translation of that and work with that as an example. Here we have the Thai translation in Thai script, and here we have the Thai translation in what we call karaoke script. Okay, this is what we'll be working with. Before we get to our example, I'd like to quickly have a look at the model of the Thai tone system that's typically used to teach the pronunciation of the 5 tones to foreign students in Thai language classes. And here is a graphic representation of that model. Let me get my little pointer. So very quickly, the aspects of this model that are relevant for what I'm going to be talking about in this video. According to this model, every speaker has a comfortable pitch range in which they're comfortable producing the Thai tones. And in this graphic, this part of this blue line is the upper part of the speaker's comfortable pitch range. Here's the middle part of it. Here's the lower part of it. According to this model, this middle tone is always going to be positioned right here, right around the very middle part of this speaker's pitch range. And here's the critical element. It's always going to be pronounced right around here for this speaker, okay? So there's actually like an absolute pitch associated with this speaker's middle tone. Okay, then this middle tone serves as a frame of reference for the other 4 tones. Up here we have the falling tone and the high tone. Again, these 2 tones are always pronounced right here. Right here. You're never going to see this tone venturing down here or this tone venturing down here. Okay, they're always going to be pronounced here. Critical aspect to remember. Then below this middle pitch is going to be these 2 tones, the rising tone and the low tone. Again, according to this model, they are always pronounced right here. This tone will never be found up here. This guy will never be found up here. They're always going to be pronounced right here. Okay, so here we have the pronunciation of our sample sentence graphed according to the way it might be pronounced according to the traditional pronunciation model, as if it were being modeled by a Thai teacher in a classroom where Thai was being taught to foreigners. Okay, so let's walk through very quickly and see what we have. Here we have our pitch range, upper, middle, lower pitch range. So according to this, we have, pom, I, might, don't, yak, want, by, to go, da. But, pom, I, could think, wa, that. And then these two go together. My, me means there is no, don't have. Tang, look. These two go together. This is like a choice. Tang, look. Okay, so all together it would sound something like pom, mai, ya, bai, da, pom, kit, wa, mai, mi, tang, look. Okay. Okay, so we can see from this graphic that when we pronounce this sample sentence, according to the traditional model of Thai pronunciation, that all of the tones are in their prescribed location, right? So pom is a rising tone. It's supposed to be pronounced here. That's where it is. This is a falling tone. It's supposed to be pronounced here. That's where it's pronounced. So all of these tones are pronounced according to their prescribed locations, right? And when we think of sentence level intonation, when we pronounce a sentence according to this traditional pronunciation model, that sentence level intonation is in fact determined by this sequence of individual tones. So here's the sentence level intonation here. So pom, ma, ya, bai, da, pom, kit, wa, mai, mi, tang, le. So this that I'm tracing with my little marker here, this is the sentence level intonation, and it is determined by this sequence of individual tones. So let's have a look at one way this sentence might be pronounced in everyday, informal, casual conversation. Let me get my little pointer here. Okay, so this is a kind of sentence intonation. It's very common both in Thai and in English and in many, many other languages. When you have a declarative sentence, a statement, the intonation often takes this form right here. So we start up high. Here's the speakers of our pitch range. We start high, and as we move through the middle of the sentence, we come a little bit lower, and then as we come to the end of the sentence, we come to our lowest pitch in that sentence. Very common form of sentence intonation, and I think it serves essentially a sort of grammatical function. It kind of, when we see that, we hear that low pitch at the end, it kind of signals that that's the end of that thought, that's the end of that sentence. Kind of like a period. It's kind of like the function of a period in writing. So look what's going on here. Let me get my little pointer again. This we know is a rising tone that according to the traditional model is always pronounced down here, never up there. So what's it doing up here? This one, this is a falling tone. It belongs up here. Okay, this one, yeah. This is a low tone. This belongs down here. This is a middle tone. That belongs right here. So what's going on? Something strange is going on, right? Let's move over here. So these two, this is a low tone, should be here. This is a rising tone, should be here. This is a high tone, should be here, and this is a falling tone, should be up there. But they're not. None of them are where they belong. They're down here. So what's going on here? All right. And then finally, we come down here to the end of the sentence, and look at this tone. This belongs up here. Instead, it's all the way down here. These two belong here, and this one belongs way up there, but it's all the way down here. So what is going on here? Well, let's find out. For many years, I was very confused by this. I would hear, for example, get my pointer here, I would hear this tone, and I would know that's a rising tone that should be pronounced down here, but my ear told me it was being pronounced up there. And I didn't think I could possibly be right. I mean, so I was just really confused, and I really began to doubt whether I had an ear for Thai, that I would ever be able to learn Thai. Okay, um, until I realized what was going on. And here's basically what goes on. Just as in English, when Thai speakers speak a sentence, they chunk it up. They break it up into little segments to make it easier, one, to pronounce, and also easier for the listener to parse the meaning. Okay, and that's what's going on here in Thai. So, and what happens is you form little tone groups like this. So this is a little group, and within this group, this is very important, within this group, the relationships of the tones are quite similar to what they are in that traditional model. Okay, so here we have, it's going to start up higher, like pom, my, yeah, by, okay? It's going to be, everything's going to be at a higher pitch, but the relationship among these tones is going to be similar enough for native speakers to know that they belong together and to understand what those tones are, okay? And we come down here, the same thing. We see this one still going to be lower than these two tones, right? So the relationships are remaining the same as they were in the traditional model of pronunciation, and the same thing down here. Okay, so why isn't this confusing for native speakers? Well, one is what I just mentioned, that they have little tone groups, and within those groups, native speakers can get a feeling for, yeah, we know what tones these are because we've heard them before, maybe at a different pitch level, but we've heard these relationships before. So for them, it's a piece of cake. The other part of it, why it's not a problem for native speakers, is context, right? If a native speaker is listening to this and they know the topic and they know what was in the sentence before, it gives them a really good clue as to what these tones are. So between this chunking and these relationships within the tone groups and the context, it's really a piece of cake for native speakers to follow this sort of thing. Okay, to close this video, here's a quote that I came across in a journal article that I think sums up very nicely this relationship between this sequence of individual tones and the overall sentence level intonation. This is from this journal article right here. It's called The Interaction Between Tone and Prosodic Focus in Mandarin Chinese. So it's about Chinese, but as I'm sure you know, Chinese is a tonal language, and it's talking about pretty much the same thing we are, because tone, they're referring to the same kind of tones we're talking about. And prosodic focus, prosody, is the official linguistics term for sentence level intonation. So they're talking about the same thing we're talking about. And here's the way they conceptualized it. They said that tones are small ripples riding on large waves. That's a very different way of conceptualizing this, right? I think generally when we're taught Thai, we kind of get the impression that those tones are the dominant feature that drives that sentence level intonation. But that's not the case. It's certainly not always the case. It can be the case sometimes. So, but what they're saying is it's more like this. You've got big waves, like a 30-foot wave in the ocean, like this, right? That's your sentence level intonation. And then within that, you've got something like these little tones that are kind of dancing around within that huge wave. I think it's a nice way to conceptualize it. Okay. Okay, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear from you. In the next video, entitled Resources for Sentence Level Intonation, I'm going to direct you to some YouTube channels where you can listen to some really nice examples of native Thai speakers using many different forms of sentence level intonation. So check it out. สวัสดีครับ